What is the cutest thing you have ever heard a kid say? Was at Disneyland watching Turtle talk with Crush from Finding Nemo. It's a slick presentation, with a video screen acting as the aquarium and a digital version of Crush with a human voice actor interacting with the guests. Crush asked one little boy who had a question for Crush, where he was from. The kid matter-of-factly replied, "My mom." All of the adults in the audience erupted with glee and laughter. It was so wonderful. The guy doing Crush's voice was brilliant. He exclaimed, "Little dude, that is the best answer ever." Had a similar cute experience at Turtle Talk. Crush asked if anyone had any questions. Little boy comes up, just spurts out, "Turtles are my favorite." And Crush responds, "The answer to your question is yes." I worked at a supermarket, and one day this little girl came up to me asking where the bathroom was. I told her I would show her where they are, and walked her to the restroom. Right before she went in she said, "You sound like Crush from Finding Nemo." I was like, "No way man, thanks." Adorable. That is such a great character. I think I need a movie about Crush. My girlfriend and I have 2 girls. One is 4 years old, the other 4 months. Our 4-year-old is not biologically mine, but I treat her like she is. While waiting for her mother to come out of the store, she looked at her half-sister in her car seat, and this is the conversation that followed. Her, "Are you her daddy?" Me, "Yes, I am." "You know that." Her, "Why?" Me, "I helped make her." Her, "Did you help make me?" Me, "No, I didn't help make you." Her, "But that's not fair. I want you to be my daddy." Her biological father is still in the picture, but, objectively, he has no business raising kids. It felt really good to hear her say that. Sometimes I feel like she doesn't like me, and that cleared up any doubts I had. My boyfriend is like you. Calls his non-bio kid daughter too. I promise you your non-biological daughter will remember all the things you did for her. The things you taught her. Sometimes she will hate you and rub it in. You're not my real dad. But at the end of the day, she won't forget you. If she doesn't like you sometimes, it means you're her real dad. My niece picked up the word fiddlesticks from some old cartoon or other, and there was a period where she used to say it constantly whenever she was annoyed at something. The only problem was that she'd obviously misheard it, and so we had a full 6 months of her shouting "Oh, fiddleshits" whenever she dropped something. To this day, whenever something goes wrong I just mumble "fiddleshits" to myself, and everything suddenly seems a little brighter. I love it. You give kids a word meant to be a clean version of an expletive, and it still doesn't work. Haha. My kid picked up "gosh darn it" from my mom. Funny hearing a 2.5-year-old say "gosh darn it, that dog took my cookie." My brother used to say "cheese and whiskers" in those situations, because he used to watch Bananas in Pajamas all the time, and that's exactly what Rad would say. I'm a school teacher, and I'm prone to correct my kids' grammar from time to time. Occupational hazard. When my daughter was about 4, she proudly brought a picture to show me. Her dad, "Guess who drawed this picture?" Me, "Drew, honey." Her, "No, I did." My mom taught me to correct people, but indirectly, like in this situation, to respond, "I don't know who drew it," which makes sense, because as I've grown into adulthood I've learned that my parents are very critical and non-confrontational, and equipped me with very few useful social skills. Tact is a useful social skill. It might come across as annoyingly passive-aggressive though. This goes against the educational pedagogy that I've learned as a linguist. I suggest indirect correction. My partner works at Animal Kingdom in Walt Disney World, and this little boy came up to him. They start chit-chatting, and the boy says, "Do you know what my favorite animals are?" "No." "What are they?" "I like elephants and giraffes." My partner smiles. "Do you know why I like them?" "Because an elephant has a long nose and a giraffe has a long neck." The boy takes a pause, and with the most innocent and adorable smile he says, "They remind me of rectangles. I really like rectangles." Rectangles are the worst shape. I remember very distinct moments as a child, and being an analytical kid who observed every little shape and object, I can actually understand where this kid is coming from. Ha 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 ha, can't stop laughing, so delightfully childlike. Before Christmas, my sister, her husband and 10-year-old son had dinner at our house, then went home, which is only a 20-minute drive. When they got there, they discovered their house had been completely ransacked and all their Christmas money stolen as well as jewelry. We drove straight over as my sister was distraught. Her 10 years old son was so calm and went upstairs, dug around all his trashed Lego sets, and came running downstairs. He pulled out his small hidden piggy bank and emptied it. He pushed the 80 into his mum's hand and told her everything was going to be fine. This would help toward the repairs and nobody was hurt, and that was the main thing. I couldn't get over how calm and mature he acted, especially given they had broken all of his toys and wrecked his room. He never even mentioned them. Daughter: Daddy, can I have some of this? Son: no. Don't touch that. It's mommy's period candy. Kind of off topic, but I'm glad to see that more families are open to talking about periods to young boys, or at least making it less of a taboo subject. I once talked about it in a taxi and had my mother tell me no, don't say that in public. Fairly open topic at home, not in a taxi, apparently p. When my wife was first going through menopause, she would have these brutal hot flashes. We were in a Mexican restaurant, and she reaches into her purse for a hair clip and puts her hair up. Are you having a hot flash? I asked. Apparently, this not a topic to bring up in public, ever. My son is almost 3. Last night I got home from work, and he said I so excited to see Dada. It melted me. The other day I was getting in my car on the way to work, and my son ran outside, yelling, "Bye mama, have a good day." It melted my heart, because usually he's too busy playing to acknowledge that I'm saying goodbye. There is no better feeling than coming home from work and seeing my daughter's face light up for me. That's adorable. If you haven't already, you should listen to Man That Hung the Moon by Brantley Gilbert. That'll melt you. This whole thread is making me excited to have kids, but this one just did it for me, oh man, especially since I used to call my dad the same thing. Seriously? I love you daddy, and he says it all the time. He's 7. I'm sure in a few years he will be telling me he hates me when I won't let him out late, so I'll just enjoy this for now. I'm sure it will be like this. My brother did that when he was little. He was still learning what all the different family words meant. So he was just learning what mummy and daddy meant, what brother and sister meant, things like that. And one day we were sitting on the couch watching TV, and he was leaning against me while we were watching. And then he just casually looked up at me and said, "I love you, my sister," and went back to watching TV. It was so cute. My family have fostered kids for about 8 years now, and my little foster brother has been with us for 5 years. He comes from a very abusive background with his blood family, stuff that still makes me choke as I write this. But he came to us when he was 9, and we immediately had a connection, but he was very scared and very traumatized. It took a long time to build trust, but 3 years later, I was about to walk into his room when I heard he was talking to his friend on Xbox about how he borrows my games. I don't actually own FIFA, it's Cam's me who's Camo, he's my big brother. That was the first time he referred to me as a brother. My 3-year daughter told me I make her heart sparkle. I had something similar said to me by my daughter at that age. I was listening to a radio station and there was a discussion on how to be a better parent, and if parents should ask their kids what they can do to be a better parent. Well, I asked her, and after about 10 seconds of silence she said sparkle. Geez. My 3-year-old keeps telling me to go away because daddy came home and apparently mommy isn't good enough anymore. Joke's on you kid, I get a break and get to go on Reddit. Dang, I'm 30 years old, and I might use that line later. At an airport maybe 7+ years ago, going home for Christmas. I was still in basic training, so drill SGTS had us fly home in a cruise. Just got off the plane, and I'm figuring out where I need to go for my connecting flight. A boy, roughly 7 to 9 years old, says "Thank you for your service sir," and gives me his best salute, before running off with a smile. I didn't get to say thank you, because I was speechless. He was the first person to say that phrase to me, and I didn't know how to respond. I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. When my Miel was babysitting my 2-year-old daughter, she caught a whiff of a poopy odor. As she tried to peek inside my daughter's diaper to see if she needed it changed, my daughter assured her, "Don't worry, Grammy, it was just a toot." Tooting became the family word for farting for quite a while. When my sister was little and still in diapers, she farted in my mom's face and then asked her if she felt the wind of it. Toot already is a word for farting. I wasn't claiming she coined it. It was just funny at the moment. I was at my sister's recently, and my niece is 3 years old, and she sliced her foot on her piece of glass that was on carpet, and had the usual breakdown. After her dad cleaned the cut and put a band-aid on it, she was supposed to go to bed, and she looked at me and said, "Uncle JJ, will you carry me to my room? It will make my boo-boo well better." I had no choice but to carry her to bed. Then of course the next morning she wakes me up by sticking her foot in my face and says, "See Uncle JJ, it's all better." Up dude for being a great uncle. My mom told me story about something I did when I was maybe 4 or 5. I was at daycare and presumably we were all playing a game involving King Arthur somehow, because I randomly ran up to the people watching us with one hand raised high in the air, like I was brandishing an invisible sword, and yelled, "Long live the Knights of the Turntable." Back then, vinyl was still a thing the first time. Knights of the Turntable would be a dope name for a DJ crew. You have my permission to use it when you start yours. Looks like it's already taken. When my daughter was about 2.5, we were outside on a windy cold day, and I had no jacket. She asked me if I was cold. I said, "Yeah, I'm a little chilly." She said, "No dad, I'm a little chilly. You're a big chilly." Also, around the same age, she put on her toy stethoscope and announced to us she was now Dr. Grown Up. Also, around the same age, she put on her toy stethoscope and announced to us she was now Dr. Grown Up. Clearly she's Vincent Adultman's doctor. I was walking through a bookstore when I overheard part of a conversation between a small child and her mother. Basically it was just this tiny British voice saying, "But mummy, I want it." It was totally unexpected, since I was in Texas. I was in a store in Oxford and there was this little girl looking at these beautiful teacups and asking her dad if she could have one. In the most stereotypical British voice ever, but in a teeny tiny girl kind of way, she says, "Please daddy, may I?" I died.